All right, Colleen. So here's a quick breakdown of what we found. We would say that for the most part, your sequencing is pretty good. And if it isn't perfect, it's pretty close to perfect for the most part. So we talked prior about the hips peaking first, shoulders peaking second, and the hands peaking third. The other example we had is sort of one where the hips are kind of outraced by the lower body, or sorry, the upper body in terms of peaking. So we could see that the shoulders peaked first relative to the start of the downswing, which is here. The hips peaked second and the hands finished third. So some of these things were off a little bit, and one of the reasons why they're probably off is that if we generate more pelvic stability, it would probably improve some of the stuff upstream in your golf swing. So let's look at that a bit. So this is an example of like a really efficient swing, and what's different primarily compared to yours is that the way the hands, hips, and shoulders start the backswing is a little different, in the sense that to get more power, this player is really restricting their hips, and the hips aren't turning much at all. But in your example, we've kind of got everything sort of turning a bit and glued as one. So the hands actually we sort of say kind of disconnect from the shoulders here. And this would be an example of the segments staying connected. We can see the brown line and the green line are staying connected independent of the hips. So if we do that, we generate more power. It's almost like we create more lag in the lower body. So we're spooling up tension to the upper body. And that goes back to some of the things you're talking about, like, oh, it's always been difficult for me to sort of stop my hips or really get power. So the two numbers that are out, and it probably relates back to the golf tech world, is pelvic bend. So how much you're tipping over at address. And sometimes you get a little S posture. So this would be sort of like the butt sticking out a bit more, and we can see we're sort of outside the range there. The other thing that happens if we start off with S posture, at the top of the backswing, your lead hip ends up pointing too low. Or if you had a belt on, it'd be that the belt was pointing more to the ground, and it was, instead of it being kind of more or less level. So this would be the lead hip being too low at the top. And the problem is, if the lead hip is too low at the top, it's difficult to really turn and rotate the hips effectively, where you can accelerate them quickly and then stop them or decelerate really quickly. So those are the two big positional things that we'd be working on through going through those corrective exercises. And Mike's probably going to come up with some neat drills that sort of might help kind of glue the hands to the shoulders. But again, it's probably going to be fixed mainly by just building that physical quality. This was the other swing. So this swing here, you had a better sequence. And one of the things that changed was that you had a better posture in the low back. So you were less S and more flat. So that flat low back essentially keeps the core and glutes more activated. And the other thing it changed was at the top of the backswing, your side bend, meaning was the belt buckle relatively level? Yes, it was. So by keeping the hips more engaged, you had a better sequencing of the downswing, and you also began to decelerate the components better as well. So all in all, some things to work on, mainly going through pelvic stability, and we'll be, John and I, myself, and the Kelowna team will be building some drills and exercises to help the physical qualities for your golf game.